Philosopher Goethe said, the moment you begin to trust yourself, you'll know how to live. Don't wait till you're in your 30s to do this. There's definitely some truth to being young and dumb and not knowing what you're doing, and having a lack of wisdom due to a lack of experience in life. But everyone does have some voice within, and if they're quiet enough, they can hear it. But you'll never hear it if you're constantly valuing what other people think over what that voice is telling you. I've had, can't even tell you how many jobs I've had. I've had multiple jobs. You know, I guess as part of that's just my personality. Could say it's the ADHD. This is awesome. Check this out. Yeah, it's definitely ADHD, as well as just seeking novelty and recognizing, which I think a lot of people don't do, recognizing that their place of employment, their job, is really not serving them. I've never fit the mold, and I think, I like to at least suspect that most people don't fit the mold as much as they think they might. Maybe some more than others, but I know for me, I could never stand the predictability of most 9-to-5 jobs. I think the closest thing that ever really fit me personally was carpentry. But through time, or over time rather, of listening to other people's advice over trusting myself, I realized at some point I had to stop. And not only did I quit sharing with other people what I was doing, but I stopped taking their advice too, because most of the people weren't living the life I wanted to live. I'm sure many of you have heard about that, to not take advice from people whose lives you don't want. Whether that's a job, a business, a relationship. And even then, even if it's ideal, even if they have a business that you want, a job you want, a relationship you want, you have to recognize you're not them. And learn to trust yourself. And personally, when I did that, things started clicking. Because the reality is, a lot of people will not realize that what they're giving you is bad advice because it's based off of their own internal fears, their own internal judgments. And everyone has enough of their own to deal with. So you don't need to sort through theirs as well and try to decipher what's good advice and what's not. Which is why at some point you need to just go off the beaten path. You need to go rogue. You need to take action and figure those things out for yourself. And I can admit I've had, and still have, perfectionist tendencies that have kept me from allowing myself to fail. But failure through action is the only way you can grow, is the only way you can learn. So you have to be willing to jump into the unknown. Try new things, meet new people. I can't tell you how bizarre it was after spending numerous years in jeans and a t-shirt to all of a sudden find myself sitting in an office wearing chinos and a dress shirt under fluorescent lighting. It's bizarre. And I think at some point everyone goes through, if they decide to try new things, they go through that feeling of feeling out of place, that so-called imposter syndrome. That idea of, fake it till you make it. There's a lot of truth to that. And as hard as it has been to admit to myself, I'm realizing commercial brokerage isn't for me. And that's all right, because I'm still one step closer to where I do want to be. And if I'm comparing it to where I was, it's absolutely where I'm supposed to be, if that makes sense. We can't have it all figured out from day one. And my mind's always thought like that. I've always been sort of a strategist. I'm very good at theorizing and thinking up every possible worst case scenario, everything that can go wrong, and then not taking action because of that. While it's good to think of those things, those scenarios, and keep them in mind and plan on how you might react if those hypotheticals do happen, because that's what they are. You can't base your decision or lack of action from that. You can't fix the world or fix your problems or go on adventures while you're stuck inside your head, inside your house. You gotta get out and you gotta just embrace the uncertainty. And you gotta decide what you want. Like I said in my last video, the world's changing. Things have fundamentally changed. You gotta figure out the rules of the game and figure out how to play it, how to beat it. Some of that's social dynamics and relationships. Other parts of that are recognizing that the entire tax system in the US is written and formulated for business owners and investors. So to reiterate, take a chance, trust yourself, and remember that nobody is better than you are. Listen to that voice in your head. Take a risk, take a leap, try something different. And I can't remember who said it, but it stuck with me because it's so true. That what you're not changing, you're choosing. What you are not changing, you're choosing. If you had one day left to live, ask yourself, would I want to be doing what I'm doing today? And if that answer is a resounding no, then you should probably spend the evening and at least part of the next day figuring out what your next move is. Take care.